All right, hey guys, it's Katie. I'm going to be going over contemporary explanations of psychological disorders today. I am one of Dr. McNew's ULAs, but if you guys have any questions over this little section, you can go ahead and shoot me an email and I would love to help you. So, contemporary explanations of psychological disorders. So, we're going to be going over the biological perspective, behavioral perspective, cognitive, and sociocultural perspective. So these overlap a little bit with the psychological perspectives that we went over in chapter one, but we're just going to go over them again. And then we're going to have some examples and questions, and we're going to hypothesize how a clinician from each model would explain depression from that perspective. Okay, so biological. The biological approach looks for physical problems or abnormalities to be the root cause of a disorder. So anything that has to do with your body. So some keywords are going to be brain, neurotransmitters, genetics, anything like that. So our depression example, so a clinician using the biological perspective would say depression is related to brain abnormalities, neurotransmitters dysfunction, or genetics. So next, the behavioral perspective. So this one focuses on people's current behavior and the learned responses that sustain that behavior. So some keywords here are going to be behavior, reinforcement, or if the question says anything about increasing, decreasing the likelihood of a behavior. So our depression example for this one is going to be depression is caused by a lack of reinforcement in the person's environment. Cognitive approach. So the cognitive perspective focuses on how thoughts and beliefs contribute to the development and maintenance of psychological disorders. So some keywords here are going to be thinking patterns, thoughts, beliefs, anything that has to do with what's going on inside your head. So a clinician using the cognitive perspective explaining depression would say negative thinking patterns and maladaptive beliefs lead to the depressed mood. Okay, sociocultural perspective. So this one takes into account each person's specific social system, social relationships, social and cultural customs, and social and cultural norms. So it takes information from all of those before making the diagnosis. Some keywords for this one are going to be family structure, relationships, cultural experiences, any of those. And then for our depression example again, a clinician would say family structure, cultural experiences, and social relationships all contribute to their depression. Okay, so our questions. Question number one. Paul has an irrational fear of snakes. He believes that snakes can be hiding anywhere and overestimates the likelihood that he will be bitten by a snake if he is outdoors. Which approach would best explain Paul's anxiety? So this is going to be cognitive. The key word here is going to be that he has an irrational fear because he's probably not going to be bitten by a snake just going outside. So that is a maladaptive belief. Which has to do with our cognitive perspective. All right, question number two. Dr. Sanchez studies the causes of schizophrenia. She is looking at a specific set of genetic markers to determine what role those play in the early versus late development of schizophrenia. She is using a blank perspective of this condition. So this one is going to be biological. Some keywords here are going to be genetic markers. So it has to do with your body. So that was a good indicator that it was going to be biological. So she is saying that something that happened in your body is what is causing the psychological disorder. Okay, question number three. Raven has an eating disorder. She tends to restrict her eating to the point where she is extremely hungry and then she often binge eats. She feels so guilty after she binges that she makes herself vomit. When she vomits, her guilt and anxiety are reduced, which makes it more likely that she will make herself vomit the next time she feels like she has overeaten. The blank perspective explains why Raven's eating disorder pattern is difficult to stop. So this one is going to be behavioral. So keywords here are kind of a phrase, but it says in here her guilt and anxiety are reduced. So the negative thing that's happening to her, her anxiety, is getting reduced, which makes it more likely that she's going to do it again. So that's going to be negative reinforcement, which has to do with our behavioral perspective.